Hello and welcome back to Pulse of Business. Today we've got a twist to those hosting the session, and my name is Josephine, and with me is...
My name is Ram. I will be hosting this episode today with Josephine. Yeah, so last episode it was Josephine and Jesse, but we're actually three hosts and we rotate between episodes, so you will never know who you will get. But this episode, I'm very happy to be here hosting with Josephine, and of course, but I'm not the main focus of the episode. We also have a guest, and I will let Josephine introduce her.
So, with that being said, let's dive into this. The theme of this podcast is understanding the scope of a niche industry, escape rooms, by means of the company Harz Escape. So, once again, welcome, and we are delighted to have you share your time and look forward to hearing your experiences with us, especially seeing as you're an expert in the field. So, we've come to know you, that is Ram and I, and would like for our listeners to know you too. Please, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Julia. I'm very happy to be here today. Thanks for the invitation. I'm an escape room owner, and yes, I live here in Germany, in Wernigerode, but I originally come from Romania. That's my home country. And yes, I'm very happy to be here and share my stories and experiences and answer any questions that you might have for me.
Okay, we're delighted. So now for the listeners that have never heard about escape rooms before, but first things first, Ram, have you ever heard of an escape room, of what it means?
Yes, I mean, I have heard of escape rooms. Obviously, I've seen some of them on like Instagram and stuff on the internet, but I've never played one. So I'm really interested to learn more about them in this episode today. And you, Josephine, have you played an escape room before?
No, not at all. So I take the lead from Ram. So how do you explain it to the listeners? What are escape rooms?
Oh my God, first of all, you really have to do this if you haven't yet. Well, escape rooms, I think they originate from computer games because there's a certain genre like adventure games, point and click games where you move through space and, for instance, use a key to open a door. And at some point, someone had the idea that this could be really cool in real life instead of just on screen. And that's how they were born. And yes, I think in Germany, for instance, they exist since 2013. And yeah, the very early rooms were really just a room with some puzzles in it where you had to solve these puzzles in order to eventually find a key with which you could exit the room. And that's why they were called escape rooms. In the meantime, it has evolved a lot, and nowadays we talk more about adventures or missions. Often you have to find an object or defuse a bomb or solve a murder. So it's all more complex and also, yes, more developed and much more fun than 10 years ago.
Okay, so we see like a great transition over a period of time in an industry. So how would you describe your career in one sentence?
Oh my God, one sentence.
I know it's hard, but I believe you can do this.
I'm finally earning money with something I really love.
Okay, that's great. Earning money with something you really love. Would you say it also has to do with passion? It looks like you're really passionate about it, and that's impressive.
Definitely. I think I've always had a great passion for games. Even as a kid and as a teenager, I was spending a lot of time playing board games with my friends. I always loved solving puzzles. And I always dreamed of doing something with games, like for a living, but I never thought it would really be possible. And yes, this changed 2015 when I played my first escape room, and I was completely hooked. It was like a really great new hobby. And then I noticed that in this region where I live in Germany, that there was nothing there yet. So it was a very like white spot on the map. And that gave me the idea to maybe start my own business and open my own escape room.
Okay, that's amazing. So prior to now, you said something about escape rooms having different genres. So what is the escape room you are the proudest of creating? And maybe is there something you can think of? We'd like to hear it.
Well, I'm proudest of our newest room that's called The Secret of the Watchmaker. Yes, it's maybe I like it because it's a different topic. Escape rooms often have certain themes like a temple or a jail, or there are a few things that are more often. And something with a watchmaker was an original idea. The main reason I'm proud of it is because it has also been nominated for different awards, and so it also got a quite high position in the worldwide ranking of escape rooms. And for being in such a small town with a small business, that's a really, really big thing for me, that I'm a bit known internationally also with this particular room. So that's really great.
That's impressive. So all the listeners out there, we're sitting with really high standards. It's wonderful. So I give it back to Ram.
So just a question before I move on to the next part. Can we still play this escape room?
Yes, we opened it 2 years ago, so it's still pretty fresh. And yes, it's there. You can play it. So yes, I would be very happy to see you one day.
Josephine, I think we need to go soon.
Yeah, we really need to go.
So for all the listeners, I still haven't played it. Check it out. And now moving into the new part, as we said, we would love to know more about your journey, since you have like such an international background, especially like your work life and what you have done prior to coming to Germany. So can you just tell us how was your life back in Romania and what pushed you to come to Germany?
Yes, I can tell you about that. I went to school in Romania and I did my first studies there. I actually also studied something similar like you guys. It was economics. Also, it was called economics in foreign languages. So I did economics in German language, but in Bucharest, in my hometown. But then I noticed that it's not really something that I want to work with later. And I also wanted to do something more fun, something more for my heart. So I still studied music. And for that, I moved to Germany because there were just better possibilities for that here. And I studied 5 years at the music academy. And afterwards, I decided to still do a master's of cultural administration. So this sort of combined my previous two studies, having studied economics and music, to do this cultural business administration. I don't exactly know how it's called in English. Kulturmanagement, it's in German. And so this was basically what I've learned. And then I worked in this field for about 5 years, so in cultural management, until I came up with this escape room idea. So that was my history before.
So can you give us some examples of how you work in cultural management? Because it's the first time I've heard of like this field of working, and it seems very interesting to me.
Yes, well, there's different things. Like sometimes it's, for instance, agencies that manage musicians. In my case, I worked at an institution. It's called the Music Academy, and they were organizing workshops and master classes for music students. And I just worked in the administration there, so I organized all these courses, made marketing for it, made sure that people come, made contracts with the professors, and then I just made sure that the workshops took place and that everything went well. Yeah, that's about what I did.
That is very interesting to hear. You surely had a lot to go through throughout your experiences and studies, and obviously there was like difficulties and problems. Could you tell us some of the problems you had to face while moving from Romania to Germany?
Oh, yes. I think even though I had been to Germany before and I had this idea of how Germany is like, it was still a quite big cultural shock for me. I had much less trouble than other people, I guess, because I spoke the language very fluently already. But it's still a very big difference in mentality and how people are. And I don't know, I think Romania is more like of a southern country, so maybe you can compare it more to like Spain or Italy, as in the way of being. So people are very social, very open, and when I moved to Germany, my first impression was nobody likes me. And it took me a while to realize that that wasn't the case, but that people were just different. And if you like met someone, that things just go very slow, and then maybe you meet up again in a few weeks. And in my experience, it was like, yay, I like you, let's go tomorrow and have coffee, and then you see each other every day, or I don't know, just something like that. And it was for me in Germany a bit hard to get used to people being different. And I almost moved back like half a year later because I thought I didn't like it. But my mother told me just stay a whole year, and if you still don't like it, come back, but give it a try. And then it got better. And in the meantime, there are certain things that I really cherish about German people and about the way they are, and that they're very reliable. And so there's other qualities which I like very much about Germans.
Well, I think I can definitely understand what you have gone through, because I also came from a foreign country. I also think Josephine can understand where you are coming from and the difficulties you have faced. But obviously, like now, everything is good and you're working in a business you love. So I would just like to know, what's your favorite part about working in the escape room business?
You will probably laugh, but my favorite part is that I get to play escape rooms a lot also. Because, of course, I also like to travel and play other rooms in order to see what are others doing, where is the business going, are there any original, creative new ideas. And so I actually play a lot. I have played over 400 rooms now, and it's my biggest hobby. So, and I can always say, oh, I'm working. So that's the best part. I can just go have fun, play escape rooms, and say, oh, this is for work. So this is what I really like. But when it comes to the actual job, I think my two favorite aspects are creating rooms, so thinking of ideas for new games and making them come to life, and having groups coming to play. So I still really like being there when we have customers and actually watch them play and see how they enjoy the games that I created. That gives me a lot of satisfaction. So even though in the meantime I have employees who of course help with it, I also like to be myself at the venue and experience customers coming, playing, and being happy about it.
Yes. Oh, I just find it amazing how much you love escape rooms and how you have turned this passion into a very successful business.
So we move on to the next segment where we're talking about the theme of the niche industry. However, our focus right now will be on the multicultural theme too, in a sense, because we know since it's a niche industry, probably you have people from different nationalities. So in that case, would you mind sharing with us your experiences and thoughts in working in a multicultural environment?
So actually, we are a very small team. So when I started, I did everything myself, running the business. I just have two friends who help me build the rooms. So like one of them is doing more the technical side and the other more the mechanical things. One of them is actually from Sweden, so he's also from outside Germany. But when it comes to the actual employees, there's usually between 3 and 5 people, and it's mostly students here from the Hochschule. Not only, but often, because it's a very nice side job for next to the studies. But I have to admit that most of them were and are German nationality. And I think the main reason is that very fluent German is very important for running these games. And I am very open to when I have applications for the job. I always look at all of them. But unfortunately, until now, I had only quite few foreigners applying, and their German was only on a very basic level. So it was like, okay, I have A2 or B1 German. And unfortunately, that was never enough to do the job. And that's why, I didn't get to hire many people with international background, even though I would love to, because I find it very enriching to have a multicultural environment at work. But so far it has been a bit difficult because of the language barrier mainly.
Okay, so thank you so much about the insight, because prior to now, maybe for our listeners, some may think that is some sort of prejudice, but that's really not the case at all. it's just like it's also like really important to learn a language, especially in an escape room, because you need to get in contact with the people coming. So it's good to really speak with them and understand them better.
Yes, and also while they are playing, so the way it works is that the game masters, that's what they're called, they sit in an extra room and they can see and hear the group while they are playing. And then they have different ways in which they can help them by giving hints if they can't solve a puzzle. And it's very hard if you don't understand good what they're talking, what they're doing, then you don't know where the problem is, and then you can't really help very well. I notice it sometimes myself if I have tourists playing who come from, let's say, Denmark. I don't speak Danish. And then they're in the room and they talk with themselves, so among themselves in their own mother tongue. And I don't understand what they're saying. And it's so much harder to actually host these games because, you just miss some information. And that's why, language is just a very important thing with these escape games. And that's why a high level of German is just compulsory for working with us. But otherwise, I would be very happy, with an international team.
We can assure you of that. We see you're really happy about the whole thing. So, is there a difference in the working culture in Germany and in Romania? Because you said you already worked in Romania. Are there any differences?
I don't know. I'm thinking if I think about escape rooms specifically now. I'm in contact also with owners from Bucharest, from my hometown, and we sometimes share experiences. And so, what's it like here? What's it like there? And one of the things that we noticed is I mentioned it before that I like about Germans that they're reliable mostly. And I have to say, I'm very impressed about people really showing up for the games. I mean, when someone made a booking, even though we don't take the money in advance, we only make the payment on the spot, it very rarely happens that someone just doesn't come. And also, the cancellations are not so many. But if they have to cancel, they call in advance and say, oh, we're really sorry, there was a problem, we cannot come tomorrow, for instance. And in Romania, I heard more often that, people don't take it so seriously. So it's like, okay, yeah, we made an appointment, but now we don't feel like it, so we don't go. And for instance, if you don't charge in advance, then you risk a lot that, people don't show up, and then you have employees there who are waiting. And this seems to be a bigger problem there than in Germany. And I think it's just a matter of mentality. I think that here, if you have a termin, then even if it's like weeks before, you put it in your calendar and then you have it there and you go. And it doesn't happen that you just forget things or that things happen, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I get it. So it's more reliability and the mentality of the Germans, which differs from those in Romania.
Yeah, that's at least how I experienced it. Though I have the feeling with some things it also changes a bit. For instance, here in Germany, I used to have a lot of bookings far in advance so that people think already in 3 months we want to go play this room. And especially since COVID, I have the feeling it changed a bit, that people are more spontaneous, that they are more short-term planners now. I mean that they don't make these plans really far in advance, but more like, okay, we go on holiday, now we're in Wernigerode, okay, what do we do tomorrow? And that they also make their bookings a bit more short-term. That's, of course, for me a bit harder because it's harder to plan. And we also often have phone calls like, oh, I would like to play an escape room now in 1 hour. And that's, of course, difficult because we don't have employees who are there the whole day. They just come if we have a booking. So, these are the kind of challenges that then you have to deal with if the way people are changes.
Okay, then. Thanks for that. So, although you mentioned beforehand that you do not have so many individuals from different nationalities in Harz Escape, however, I still want to ask this question. Have there been conflicts that happen specifically because of maybe cultural differences?
Yeah, I guess what I could imagine being problematic sometimes might be just communication. And because we talked before about people just being different, and I could imagine that there could be conflicts just because of misunderstandings, that someone says something and it's just being interpreted in a different way by another person because of their own cultural background. But yeah, I cannot say so much more about this because it's not the case in our company, and also where I've worked before, it was not a very multicultural environment.
So thanks for that. However, before now, you mentioned that you don't have so many individuals from different nationalities in your company that's in Harz Escape. However, I would still like to ask this question. Have there been any conflicts that happened specifically because of maybe cultural differences? You know, people from different nationalities may have some problems sometimes getting to understand each other.
I think it's very important to get people together as much as possible. This I notice even with us, even though we don't have this aspect, that our employees often work on their own, because if there's like a booking for one room, then we have one game master coming, hosting the game, going home, and he doesn't really see his colleagues. And because of this, I pay extra attention to doing these kind of team events for us as a team, so that the colleagues get to know each other and get to do an activity together and know each other a little better. And I think that especially in companies who have even more multiculturalism in their structures, I think this is one way of trying to make it better, by just doing team events. And maybe now it sounds bad, but like forcing people a little bit to like do something together. And a very great activity is playing an escape room, for instance. This is nice, closing the circle, because in these games it's all about communication and cooperation. So it's always a team game. There's always 3, 4, 5 people who go together as a team into a room, and they have to solve this mission together as a team. And there, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, what your background is, what language you talk, you somehow have to get together and do this thing together. And I think with these kind of activities, maybe it's also helpful to bring people together who maybe have differences on other levels.
Okay, that's amazing. So emphasis is placed on contributing to push your work as a group. So I give it back to Ram.
Yes, so as you have already mentioned, you don't only have Germans coming to play your escape rooms, you also have like people from all over the world that come to Wernigerode to play your escape room. So since you have like an international audience and international clients, is there like any difference in how you and your employees approach people from different cultures?
We don't have very many international guests. I'm a bit surprised myself, because I thought Wernigerode being a very touristy city, there would be more. But there's certain regions that are more common than others. So I think Denmark and the Netherlands are 2 countries, probably because they are neighbors, where we often have groups from. And for the rest, not so much. Ever since our one room, The Secret of the Watchmaker, became a bit more popular also outside Germany, we actually sometimes have international people coming to Wernigerode just to play this game. That's quite crazy. Or I mean that let's say they're from Spain, and they come to Germany to play the best escape rooms in Germany, and then they do a tour playing the best games, and then they also end up in Wernigerode playing my game, which is really great. And so these people might be from anywhere. But I don't know if we have a very different way of approaching them. It's just that some of our rooms are available in German or English. So in this case, the players are able to play in English. Yes, and if we would have more of these groups, then it actually also would be an option to have an employee who doesn't speak German, who only hosts the English-speaking games. That would be great, but at the moment there's just too few of them. There's just maybe 2 a month or so, I would say, and that's not enough to have a game master specifically just for English games. But it would be nice if in the future there would be even more international guests coming. so that we can make our team also a bit more diverse.
So, from my understanding, there is not much difference with different nationalities, correct?
Not really. They in the way they play, or there's not really a big difference. Sometimes I noticed it depends. For instance, in the Netherlands, the escape room scene is even bigger than in Germany. It's more dense, so more people have played. More people know what an escape room is. So when we have groups from the Netherlands, they're often more experienced. So maybe this is something that we notice as a difference, that they have done this more often. So then they are maybe better at it. Maybe they also have higher expectation because the level there is very good. And yeah, maybe Germans are still often first-time players. But as in how they interact, or I would say between Germans and Danish and Dutch people, there's not this huge difference. It might be different with other nationalities.
I see. Hopefully, there is even more international groups that start coming to the escape room.
Yeah, that would be great. I can tell you one short story if we have the time. During COVID, we had to basically close the rooms because it was not allowed to. Well, you know the story. So we came up with this idea to video stream the games. So this worked in the following way. I or my game masters were in the room having this like camera attached to us. So the players could join the game via Zoom or some other platform, and they could see the room through our eyes basically, and they could see our hands, and then they could give us instructions. So they would say like, oh, go to the desk, open the left drawer, and then I would be like, oh, the left drawer is locked, what do I do? And then they were like, okay, we have to find the key, can you go look in the closet? And so they were leading the game master through the room to play the game for them basically, so they could experience these games from at home. And this, of course, enabled people from all over the world to play our rooms in Wernigerode, because all they had to do was log into their Zoom meeting on the computer. And that was amazing because we were one of the first worldwide to come up with this concept. And so in the first 2 months of COVID, we had hundreds of games running via this live video method. And there we had players from the US, from Japan, from Jordania, from, I don't know, like really all possible countries, because the physical barrier wasn't there anymore. They didn't have to travel to Wernigerode. They could just do it online. And this was an amazing experience. I mean, during all that time that was full of fear and restrictions, and somehow this whole new world opened up, this whole new international thing where people from everywhere could play our rooms here in tiny Wernigerode. That was really cool.
Oh, that sounds like one of the most creative way I've seen people play escape rooms. Do you think that maybe in the future you can add that as an option, like other than just playing physical escape rooms, you also get the option to play a virtual one?
Yes, well, we actually kept it for a while also after we reopened, because we thought, oh, it's actually a very nice opportunity or option, but it got less and less. So we sometimes still had like big companies who wanted to do it as a team event without having to go somewhere, and then they did this online thing. But I think people realized that there's still a big difference between actually being in a room and playing live and touching objects and being there yourself. It's still much cooler. And now that people have the option again of doing it live, then it's not so attractive anymore to do it in this method. But we have it. We could do it again anytime. So in case there's a new pandemic, hopefully not, then we're prepared for it this time. But yes, I think it's not a concept that would work very good otherwise.
Oh, but still, that's like such a cool idea. When you started talking about it, I was thinking to myself, that's such a nice concept. But moving back to like employees, could you tell us like what are some of the skills you seek when hiring someone? So basically, what's your dream employee?
Oh my God, my dream employee. Well, I sort of have a dream employee now. I think it's a mixture of, I think most important is that they have the same passion as me for the escape rooms, because if they really like it, then they will do their job well automatically, because they know, how important the role of the game master is when other people are playing. And for instance, at the end of the game, you have to reset the room, right? So everything that people opened, all the boxes and the locks, you have to put it back for the next group. And if someone has played rooms themselves and loves playing rooms, they know how terrible it is if you go into the room and there's a wrong lock at the wrong box, or something was forgotten and it's open when it should be closed. It's very frustrating. So then they will automatically, when they reset a room, be very careful to do it correctly and not make any mistake, because they know that if they make a small mistake, they basically ruin the experience for the next group coming. And so yes, I think my ideal employee is very passionate about escape rooms, is very thorough when it comes to preparing and resetting the rooms, and is a social person when it comes to interaction with the customers. Because it's also very important, this before and after. So when someone comes, that they feel welcome, that so that the person is really open and friendly and can make some small talk maybe. And of course, reliability is also super important, because when there's bookings, I make this plan, who has to come when to host the groups. And the worst thing that can happen is that a group comes and rings the doorbell and nobody's there, because a game master, I forgot today at 10 I had a group. So this is really, really bad. And this is also one of the few things that I don't forgive so easily, because if this happens more than once, that's for me really no-go. But for the rest, I also have noticed that employees are also able to develop and learn very much. So even game masters that I've had that I was not so sure about in the beginning, that were maybe not so good with all these things, I had a lot of confidence that they can get better at it, and that if I teach them well and if I'm patient with them, that they can become very good game masters. And my experience is that this is possible, that everybody can learn and get better. So I'm trying to give everybody a chance. So even if someone is maybe a bit insecure in the beginning, or maybe not so good talking with people, that I say, okay, we're just gonna practice this a bit. And also what do you call it, accompany them, so like be with them for quite a few games until we leave them alone. So I think with other companies, they are often left alone quite quickly, because it's a matter of money, of course. And I like to really be with them until they say, okay, now I know how the game works, I can do it on my own, and to not just throw them in there immediately.
But I think when I start a new work, I would love to have a boss like you.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
So obviously right now you just described the skill set of your dream employee. And do you think like this kind of skill set is more unique to your escape room, to Harz Escape, or would it work in every other escape room in the industry?
I think that it's universal. I think that those are the skills that every owner would be happy about. I don't know if other people put so much value on their employees actually loving escape rooms. I think that in other places, maybe they're more like, well, if you're doing a good job, then it doesn't have to be your hobby. And I don't agree with that strongly. I think it is possible. I think it's possible that someone just does it as a job and they do it well. But the best game master will always be the one who also loves playing. So I always try to, even if I employ people who have never played before, to make that passion come in time. And that's why I also like to do these team events where we go to other cities and play escape rooms. So we do that like twice a year, so that my game masters get to play other games, to also see how do those game masters do their job and maybe learn something, or maybe see how it's not good. Also negative examples are sometimes helpful. And that way they also get a bit more passion for the games themselves.
That sounds like such a great way for our employees to connect and also like learn more about escape rooms.
Yeah, it's both. So also for them to know each other better, to grow as a team, that's also really good.
And you obviously talked about the difference between your escape room as a small office, a small business, which is obviously like on the smaller side, and of escape rooms in as a franchise. So, what do you think is the biggest difference when it comes to the employees, like the skills, or finding the right ones, or keeping them?
Very interesting question. I think that there is a very big difference between small and big companies. Um, I mean, there are also like franchise escape rooms in the meantime. So, like certain big companies in Germany who have escape rooms in different big cities. And yeah, I think that there everything is way less personal. So I think there are maybe companies where the boss doesn't even actually know the game masters, because there's like these people in between in the hierarchy. And I think I am at the other extreme. So there are many small companies, but I think my company is particularly small and yeah, with very flat hierarchies. So yeah, as I said, we're like 4, 5, 6 people, so it's tiny. And I think the difficulty is then that those few people have to be very engaged. How do you call it? So they really they have to want to work and also be flexible. And if someone gets ill, for instance, it's really important that the others are like, oh my god, she can't come, I will come. And I think we have this kind of team, and I'm always working towards being a team like this where we help each other a lot, and if there's a problem that the others try to help solve it. And I think that in a bigger company that's harder, because then obviously the team is bigger. So I think most escape rooms have maybe 10, 20, 30, 40 employees. And then, yeah, then there's not such a strong connection, I think. And it's more like everyone just looks out for themselves, but maybe not so much for the others. And we're a little bit like a small family, I feel. And I like that a lot, and I would like to keep it that way. And for me, that was also a reason for not even wanting to grow. People often ask me like, oh, do you want to make more filialen? What exactly, like in other cities? And I was like, I don't know if there would be Harz Escape in even just Quedlinburg or so, which is half an hour away. I wouldn't be able to be there every day, and I want to be near my business, and yeah, it would just be too far off. So I prefer to keep it small and keep it like small family.
And since you mentioned that some of your employees are from Hochschule Harz, and but after they graduate, they obviously have to leave Wernigerode most of the time. So have you dealt with employees leaving the workforce because of them finishing their studies?
It's always a very sad moment, especially when they start very early, like some really start in their first or second semester, and then because they love the job so much, they stay until the end of their studies. So I don't think I ever had anyone quitting because they didn't like it. Everyone who quit because their studies was over, and they obviously were looking for a real job afterwards. So, but yes, this is sort of the nature of things with students, that when they're done, they normally stop. Even though I have to say I had 2 or 3 cases now already that those people did not immediately find a job. So it was often, for instance, from tourism, and especially after COVID, it's of course a bit difficult branch maybe. And so I had employees who finished the Hochschule and said like, okay, I'm looking for a job now, but it might take some time until I find something. So I offered them to employ them maybe with a few more hours so that they also have an insurance and stuff until they find something else. So then I had them for a while longer, which was nice for me, and they had something to fill that space, that gap between end of studies and the first real full-time job. Because my main problem is that I cannot really employ full-time people because it's just too much for the small business. So except for one person who is part-time, I only have this mini job, these like small side jobs. And of course, when you finished your studies, you want more than that.
Yeah, escape rooms seem like such an interesting industry with so much room to grow. I've been talking about it for a while now, so I will let Josephine continue.
Thank you for allowing us tap into your fountain of knowledge. You provided us with a lot of information. So we'd like to get some advice from you. So when it comes to like creating a business in the context of someone who comes from abroad, to be precise, Romania, what would you advise like future entrepreneurs? What will you tell them? What will you throw in?
I would advise to be courageous and just try it. I think it's very scary in the beginning. For me, it was scary because I basically decided to leave my safe and well-paid job in public service in order to become freelance. And of course, yeah, it's a big step, but I think that it's worth it because it's really nice to have your own baby, your own business, and yeah, I really enjoy also the advantages of it, of being able to plan my time freely as I see fit, to not have a 9 to 5 working day, these kind of things. But I think it's also very individual. So what are the priorities for every person? But I think if people are playing with the thought, I think they should give it a try, because it's not as difficult as it maybe seems in the beginning. I was positively surprised about how much support I also got. So at least here in Germany, it might be different in other countries, but here when I decided to do this step, I had all these opportunities. Like I was able to attend some seminars from this Gründerzentrum, it's called. It's like a center for people who want to make their own business. And yeah, there was actually also financial support from the state of Germany. There's this program for people who start their own business that you get for the first year. Like, I don't know, I think it was like 900 euros a month that I just got from the state to help me build up my business. And that was such a huge help, of course, in the first year when you have a lot of costs, but it takes time until people get to know you're there and start coming and using your services. Yeah, and then it started rolling, and yeah, aside from COVID, it's a business that works well. And yeah, so my advice would be to just try it. You have this nice quote on the wall there where it says basically in German, just do it, it might work out. And I think that's a good motto.
Okay, that's true. Thanks for that. So, seeing that you came this far over quite a long period of time, some years now, is there something you could tell us that during the course of your business, when you look back and you're like, wow, I've really come this far, I've grown?
Um, I think personally, I've grown in how I manage my business. I think that in the beginning, it was very new to me. I've never been a boss, right? I've always just worked for other people. So when I hired my first employees 8 years ago, or whenever it was that I opened, it was very new to me. And I was not ready, or I don't know, I didn't feel good about being a boss. It felt weird. And I think I also didn't know very well how to do it. I also never really did any like course or something in that direction. And I think that that's one thing where I've really grown, in the sense that I have learned over the years how to deal with employees better, how to be with them so that it's good for everybody, how to keep them happy while keeping me happy. And I think in the beginning I was very strict and maybe a bit too harsh sometimes. Like, I was really, everything had to be perfect. I have these pretty high standards from myself. Like, I want to do things really good, and then I expect the same from the others. But I had to learn that people are very different, and that each employee has strengths but also weaknesses, and to not focus on the weaknesses but focus more on the strengths and try to help them with the weaknesses, and to not be so maybe not so harsh with them. And I think I've gotten better at it. I hope. I mean, like, also with criticism and stuff, to not always just say, you did that wrong and you made that mistake, but to also give positive feedback and say, oh, you did really great, and the way you dealt with that group, or you solved that problem, that was amazing. And I think that's something I've really learned and really grew over in time.
Okay, that is really impressive. So, based on what you just said right now, it's actually not limited to the escape room industry, but also cuts across all human endeavors. That's amazing.
Yes, definitely. So this is not at all escape room specific. This was just about how to be a good boss. And I'm just seeing so many things around me where I feel it's so sad that people don't approach these things a different way. And I think I'm very happy that I got these insights over the years. And I think it's much better the way it is now, and I really I'm so much more appreciative also of my employees.
So right now, if you could give just one golden piece of advice for someone in the escape room industry, what would it be?
Someone entering the escape room world. So if you mean that someone would want to start their own business basically today, I think it's harder than it was 10 years ago because it's not so new anymore, and there's a lot more competition, and the standard is already much higher. So a lot of people would say that it's really hard now because you have to make a much bigger investment also financially to be able to start something. But I always say give it a try, because my philosophy is that it's possible to make really cool experiences and fun adventures also on a low budget if you have a lot of creativity. So I think if someone really wants to do this, they don't need... It's nice to have, but you can also do it without making a huge investment if you have some original and creative ideas, maybe some new concept, maybe something else. We are, for instance, also offering outdoor experiences now, which are very popular. And so there's a lot of new things that one could come up with. So I would say if someone wants to start new, do it, try it, but be creative. You have to do maybe something a little bit different that already is out there so that you can surprise people and maybe also be something different than your competition.
Okay, thanks for that. So I give it back to Ram.
Unfortunately, this episode is now in its conclusion, and it's been really great talking to you. I think I've learned a lot of things about escape rooms and the different aspects of it. And now, just to end it on a creative note, I have one last question which I think you would really like. And the question is, if you could create an escape room without any budget restraint, what would it be?
Wow. No limits. Well, what I think would be really, really cool is like kind of an escape room village. I know that something like that exists like in Athens. Greece has also a very vivid escape room scene, and apparently there they have one escape room experience that's a little bit like that. And also in Germany there's in Bottrop venue called Eloria, which also has something that simulates a little bit like a village, but it's indoor. But I think I would like it, if it would be really outside, and there would be like this sort of lost city. I don't know, have you guys been to Pullman City in Harz? It's like sort of this Western ranch thing. You don't know it. But that also has a little bit this feeling. You come in and there's these houses on the sides with front porches, and so that there would be like this whole village, and then you would have actors, so like that in the different types of buildings you'd actually have people. So like, I don't know, there would be a jail and the post office, and there's people working there, and then the groups who play this game, that they actually come into this village where there's actually people living, and they have to, I don't know, solve a murder mystery or something.
Oh, so it's basically like a movie where you are the main character.
Exactly. And I think some escape rooms already managed to do this very good in their indoor settings. It's really amazing what some rooms are doing. But I think in a bigger space like as a simulated village, that could be pretty interesting. And the other thing I would like to do is like a church scenario, like often when I'm in churches, and also with my one colleague who also had this idea that would be so cool to have an escape room that is really like a church, and then with painted windows and with this architecture. And yeah, but of course building something like that is expensive, so but yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Honestly, both of those ideas sound amazing, so I really hope in the future they come to reality.
If I win the lottery, maybe.
Okay, so that's all from me. Josephine, do you have one last question to add?
Honestly, I have nothing at the top of my head, but I must say that Julia, you provided a lot of insight. And we honestly appreciate that you took the time to speak with us out of your very busy schedule.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It was very cool to be here, and I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest. And yeah, I hope I was able to answer all your questions, and I hope it was possible to follow everything I said. And yes, it was very nice to be here, and it was very nice meeting the two of you.
Yeah, I honestly feel like a new world opened up to me because I didn't know anything about escape rooms, and it was so interesting to hear about it from someone as passionate as you. And now I really feel like I want to go and experience an escape room.
You have to come over. It's not far.
I would love to come and experience Harz Escape, and also to our listeners, please go there and see for yourself. It's really run by someone that has an amazing passion about the industry, and I'm sure you will have an amazing experience yourself. You also have an Instagram, correct?
Yes, it's not very vivid, but it exists. We're on Facebook as well, and yeah.
Okay, so you heard her, guys. Go follow her Instagram, and obviously support Harz Escape. And just before concluding this episode, I would like to thank you, Miss Julia, and of course Josephine. And if you want to know more about our podcast, follow our Instagram. It's called Pulse of Business, and obviously you can listen to the episodes on Spotify or YouTube. On Spotify, it's called Pulse of Business, and it's YouTube, it's Pulse of Business Podcast. And with this, I end this episode. Thank you once again very much for listening, and I hope I see you in the next one.